Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, and others. This is Conversation Oasis coming to you from Kasviskeidas restaurant here in the city center of Turku. You are listening to Radio Robin Hood, and in the studio with me today I have Saana-Maria, who is in the Seeds project with the social entrepreneurship funded by EU and Erasmus. She will tell us more about that in a while. Then we have Venera, who is from Bulgaria and volunteering at the youth house. Varun is also here with us today. He's a chemical engineer and PhD student at Åbo Academy. And then we have Thierry, who is from Rwanda and working as a journalist and specialized in human rights and democracy. And then we have Emi, and you're...
I'm a blogger on economic issues in Africa.
Cool, then we will get more about that. And then we have David Mawby, who is our regular host, but I'm doing his job today. So that he can rest a little bit and let things flow a little bit more free. And then Jalal, who is the initiator of this program originally and hosting us in this space. I am Nana Blomqvist, I'm a junior researcher at Åbo Academy, and today we're going to talk about social entrepreneurship and neoliberalism. So I will ask Saana-Maria first, what's social entrepreneurship? And what's your role in that project you are involved in?
Yeah, actually I am a local stakeholder on the Seeds 2 project, which is funded by the EU and Erasmus+. And we are running this project for youngsters from Turku to change the idea about entrepreneurship itself. And we are starting this project from Turku. And we are actually starting the youth exchange on autumn and trying to maybe do some pop-up things on the beginning of next year.
Pop-up here?
Yeah.
Locally. Do you have any concrete plans on that?
Not yet, because we are just starting this, and we have to give a space for the youngsters to have the idea by themselves. So.
Right. So what would the change in idea in entrepreneurship be? From what to what?
From the traditional kind of companies to companies that are trying to help the society and be good for environment and the city itself.
Right. Is there any new upcoming companies at the moment that we should know about?
I don't know.
Or ideas, basically.
In Turku we have Ecotori and this kind of...
Those ones, yeah.
Yeah.
How long have they been around, by the way, Ecotori?
I'm pretty sure, I think quite long.
Yeah, I think so.
Almost 10 years.
Yeah, I think so too. So, you others, social entrepreneurship, what does that say to you? What could that be?
I mean, my understanding of social entrepreneurship or entrepreneur is a concept which I actually like as an economist, and I think when I try to look on more international perspective, I think this concept is being even introduced and encouraged among big investors to invest in Africa and in developing countries, where about funds are directed to projects not only that actually make money, make profit, but at the same time help to eradicate poverty, help to deal with issues that small farmers face because of climate change.
Yeah.
So the whole social entrepreneurship idea are really worth to be supported. But at the same time, I'm talking about developing countries, but also developed countries need them as well, because there are so many issues that need to be tackled. For instance, in countries like Finland, in countries like USA, though they are developed, but there are still some social issues that are ignored by these big businesses which can still be tackled by entrepreneurs who can come up with good and creative ideas to tackle those very same issues, but at the same time make profit.
What kind of issues are you thinking of, for example?
You mean here in developed countries?
Yes, for example, in Finland.
I mean, of course, there is, as she mentioned, there is climate change. There is climate change. There is also diversity. Let's talk about basically the diversity understanding of living in a society that is much more open, inclusive. Myself, I did run a project in the east of London which was promoting good governance of diversity. So that was basically based on the fact that in the east of London there were a lot of people from different social backgrounds living in the east of London, and therefore we did our own research and then found out that young people sometimes they tend to remain within their own community and don't understand other communities. So east of London is lived by people from Africa, from England, from all over the world with different religion, and that can easily create tensions. So our project was funded by the UN Alliance of Civilization, and we were promoting good governance of diversity, where we engage young leaders, put them together and talk about what is it like to live in a society which is very, which have harmony and so on. But we did not make our profit as such. But what we contributed was actually to create a good social environment which has a social impact.
So is this more like a third sector work?
Yes,
sort of?
yes, yeah. But there are people who are more creative, which I think that is what your project is more exactly is trying to focus, whereby they engage young people with good ideas which can still make money, but at the same time sort out some issues within the society, within the community in Finland. I don't know what are the issues in Turku because I'm from Stockholm. But if there is, let's say, addiction program, or if there is, I don't know, maybe they can engage people who are addicted into some activities that can generate money and still help them to get rid of their addiction. That would be great.
Yeah, and then how do we avoid risking this to sort of drive this into the hands of neoliberalist interests? Or I mean, if we do a short definition of what neoliberalism is, we talked about big capital being invested. So if capital rules the markets instead of consumers rule the market, as it used to be maybe sometime back in history. But now it's more or less the investors. The capital sort of is very connected to the political forces as well. So how do we develop social entrepreneurship without playing it in the hands of neoliberal interests? Now I used difficult words maybe, but we can open up this during the discussion. You, Sanna Maria, seem to have like...
Yeah, the Sheets 2 project itself is a kind of new concept of youth exchange, and the idea about the project is to bring the youngsters abroad and teach them over there the idea about the social entrepreneurship and get them know the idea on the trip. We are going actually to Italy, and make them learn about the whole new thinking about entrepreneurship itself. So that's the way that we are kind of giving the education to the youngsters from Turku over on Italy, and then we are coming back to over here and try to make work it out over here.
Yeah, I wonder though, like, how do we create like new businesses, and how do we how does this society give space for small businesses nowadays? I mean, there's a lot of discussion about the precarization of work, and both small businesses and workers are more and more, they have to operate on the on the conditions of the big transnational companies, which is one example of how neoliberalism happens. That actually, whereas it's said that capitalism and free market should be about competition and that the market would balance itself through natural sort of market competition, whereas in practice, which is more into maybe, I mean, in practice the companies, they strive for monopoly, which is, I mean, we can see a lot of examples of that bigger companies, they fuse with each other and they buy smaller companies and they conquer out the smaller companies because of different things. They can plan taxes, they can save money on labor costs because they might have like cheap labor somewhere far away, whereas smaller companies try to have labor locally, which is like, because we have labor laws around here, which is not the case in all the countries. So how do we manage these new ideas?
Revolution, I think, is the word you're looking for, isn't it? I mean, much as I admire what you're doing, I think you're banging your head against a brick wall, because I think it's easy to say that neoliberalists rule the Western world. They rule it not only through the capitalist economic system, but also through the associated media, so as people are blinded into thinking this is the only choice that you have to live your life is in this wonderful capitalist paradise, when we all know that there are viable alternatives that were even taught in this country 20 or 30 years ago. We have let this happen. And much as I congratulate you and pat you both on the back for what Aimi, you've done in East London and what you've done here in Finland, and I wish you the best of luck, you know that these monsters are at the door waiting to eat you.
So this revolution, what should it look like?
What should this revolution? Well, it should be a revolution that's led by the democratic will of the people.
Where? How can we find?
Well, you're more of a politician than I am. Perhaps you've got the answer.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried. I tried. I even participated in the last election.
You did indeed, which is more than I did.
In theory,
I just make noise about it.
Yeah.
I think these are really serious and hard questions. Because there are things we normally don't talk. He has the gut to tackle some of them, like the way media is working on
You'd be damn sure I haven't got the guts to do it.
But the main thing which he mentioned again is democracy.
Yeah, exactly.
If we put the concept of democracy into practice, and here I mean seriously into practice, then we can achieve at least more than half of the answer of that question.
And then we half of the revolution. Yeah.
And then we can still have a lot of work to do with advocacy, sensibilization, and education, because people need to understand what is going on. People need to come up with new techniques, as they are doing.
Absolutely.
They are trying to go around and figure out what's happening.
Absolutely.
And bring it to the benefit of everyone. But mostly, in my opinion, participatory from especially on the grassroots, from the public.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one question is, I guess, also how to democratize the monetary system. I mean, it's not enough that the political system, and also we might need to go through a little bit what actually the democratic principles are. But Varum, you look like you are bursting of something you want to say.
No, I mean, actually, I like capitalism. Thing is
why?
Really good
Why?
Varum actually means why in German. That's your name.
Now give him a chance now. Why does he love capitalism?
Sorry.
No, for me, capitalism is, everyone has opportunity to go as high up to the ladder as possible.
If he comes from the right background, goes to the right school, and has the opportunity of education, which not everyone has, especially in India, where the majority of the population live below the poverty line.
I know, yeah.
Well, what lie are you trying to preach?
But still, I think now we have like 10 Indians in top 100 richest people.
Yeah.
Even after all these poverty.
Including Nokia in Finland as well, yes.
Yeah, thanks to capitalism. I'm just saying that no matter what, there's gonna be poor people and rich people. It's the harsh truth of life. No matter what, there's going to be poor people.
But there could be less poor.
Yes,
Of
and there
course,
could be
of course,
and there could be a fairer
capitalism
distribution of wealth.
Yeah.
I know what your next thing. The next thing you're going to say, oh, let the money trickle down. Oh, come on, I'm waiting for this one. Come on, the money will trickle down.
Let him say it himself. You can grill him after you have said it.
I'd rather grill this idea now. I don't want to grill him. He's a nice fella. But I mean, but this whole mythology that is this in every night on the television news, you get representatives from big business saying, what a wonderful tomorrow this. We must all tighten our belts. Whose belts? The rich people's belts? Oh no, only the poor that you always have with you, as Jesus said. Oh yes.
And that's called market fundamentals.
And that's called market. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now that's why you're hosting this program. You got the terminology. I got the rhetoric.
But I think capitalism has good things, but also has bad things. But coming back to her idea, I think social entrepreneurship will have actually to raise up in the same way as these big businesses have rose up. For instance, if there is some young people who have got good ideas of good product, they can actually sell it and they can attract investors, knowing that the investors also mindset is changing, because some people wouldn't necessarily want to invest in these big companies because they don't really buy into their way of working, because they are taking advantage of what is called cheap labor. So there are a lot of companies which I cannot come up with names, small companies which are actually doing well because their concept is actually based on social entrepreneurship, and they have been able to sell it to investors who also they not only they want to match their money with the business that they want, but they also want to match it with the people who embrace their way of thinking. Even pension nowadays, if people want in the city of London, when people want to invest in their pension, now they give you the right to see where your money is being invested. And actually some big fund manager, they give you a portal where they say your pension is being invested in this particular company, and you have the right to actually say which company you want to do. So why did they do that? And those are actually part of these capitalist leaders you're talking about. When you talk about these financial service companies, they do that because they know the investors are starting to have another understanding of how business should be conducted. So I think their ideas, if they are encouraging people to be more creative, this is what they need, the grassroots community, to try to actually raise up, but they will still need to be aware that they need to compete with these big companies.
I have a problem with that.
Yeah, I also have a problem with that.
Yes, go on.
I will say first, and then I will let, because I'm worried that this creativity will be exploited by those like big players, sort of. But that's my worry about that. Actually, the labor won't benefit themselves, their own labor, as we have seen in so many instances.
But when you say it's going to be exploited or taken advantage, what do you mean?
I say like worry about, what I mean is that that they are conditioned to work with their creativity or sell their creativity to the big players.
I totally agree with you, but that is again business. That's how it works. And if I come up with a good idea, and at the end I don't understand how to manage it and I don't believe in it, eventually I will sell it. And someone else will take it and will transform the idea. But if I believe in my product, I'm a business-minded person, I don't want to sell it, and even if I sell it, I don't want to sell it cheap. I will maintain it and then keep it up until I make an impact.
That was my problem, and according to what the way you're responding, it I also agree. That's what I said. There are things we don't really talk about, and because of fear, because of we don't know what's going on out there. But the thing is, it's kind of mechanism which is set there, that those small investments are always absorbed at some point with these big investments.
Yeah.
And now the question, if I come to this, the problem we have here,
we share.
yeah, the question is, what kind of security those small investments they have when you look at the ethical of business in general?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, as I mentioned, sorry, I will let you speak. So, like the tax planning, the unfair point of departure for doing business through tax planning or marketing and all. But Sana Maria and then Varum.
Yeah, actually in Seeds 2 project we are manifesting the revolution by an example, and we are showing an example about the new idea about the entrepreneurship itself, and we are giving space for youngsters to do the whole thing differently, and it's the main point at this level in this society to give an idea to be able to do the whole thing differently and kind of against the system of nowadays.
Right. Varum.
No, I mean, I was just saying that there's a system, and then there's more moral values, morality. So when you're comparing capitalism, socialism, communism, whatever, you have to keep moral values separate and then compare the systems.
I am doubtful, but I will let you
because
speak.
if I'm a corrupt person, then I'm bad for every system. So you have to remove morality and then see which system is better. Capitalism, in last 50-60 years, average income of people across Africa, across Asia, across whole world has increased. There are lesser poor people than ever. If you want to defeat a billionaire, if you want to defeat a corrupt billionaire, you have to be a billionaire. And the only way you can become a billionaire is through capitalism. Of course, you know.
Donald, are you listening?
There are other
of course, at ground level, you know, of course,
anything, you don't need to defeat anything.
No, of course, at ground level, we can, you know, work at whatever. But in order to, as you said, small businesses eaten by bigger businesses. So who's going to eat the biggest business? And the only way you can do this is through capitalism.
May I say something here?
Well, sometimes the revolutions are bloody, unfortunately.
I'm not after a bloody revolution.
Violence is never a
Yala,
solution.
you come in, I've got something to say here.
Diversity between opinion among people is quite much, but when it comes to work, so capitalism is picking those which is benefiting capitalism. Yes. So the problem is that government doesn't do anything, the capitalism doesn't do anything. People should get more active and to create some sort of organizations or systems being supported by people. And the problem here is lack of money. How should we create a system?
Like it said, one thing is like said that the poor people are decreasing. On the other hand, the distribution of wealth has been like, I think it's more uneven now than it has been in 100 years. So it's kind of contradictions, and there is no money. Yeah, where are the money?
Can I tell you where the money is?
Exactly.
Can I give an example?
I mean,
over the past few years, this SSS government that we've had to contend with in Finland, for instance, they cut corporation tax time and time again. Now, corporation tax is the tax that business pays to the government for the upkeep of public services. And they said, and the Elinkeinokeskusliitto said the Confederation of Finnish Industry campaigned with all the national coalition MPs, let's reduce corporation tax and we'll take on more people to work and thereby reduce unemployment. What happened? This government reduced corporation tax twice. And what happened? Unemployment went up, not down.
Yeah.
So don't preach to us, please, about the morality of capitalism. I'm not saying that the morality of socialists or communists is any better. It probably isn't.
David,
it certainly wasn't in the Soviet Union.
Varun thinks money is the solution for the problem. But money is the
not
problem.
Money is the problem.
No, but like, what I would
And I'm
like
not just blaming Varun, I'm blaming everyone here. Much as I admire what you're doing, I'm just saying this, you know that you're going to be eaten up because the system is against you. Take, for instance, in Greece, where a left-wing party came into power, they could do nothing because their hands are completely tied, because the economic system, it rules. Politicians don't rule. They may pass laws here, there and everywhere, who can get married to whom on what day of the week. But no, they cannot control the mechanism of the new neoliberalistic system. It is impossible. It rules itself. It is a monster that needs to be destroyed.
Yeah,
But hearing you, it sounds like there is nothing we can do. We dead
I'm not
already.
saying that.
Give a solution.
My solution is,
Yes,
is for what you guys are doing.
But you're saying that we're going to be eaten up.
And you know,
David, like one comment on his morality and system, because some systems wouldn't allow corruption, and that's like, I would say that we see, of course, because there can be sanctions for that. For example, there are more corrupted countries than others, and I mean, so the system, there are bad people in every system, but some system is rotten in itself, that it allows, like, if we never actually came to the thing of democratic principles. What are they? Because a system that is built on democratic principles very strongly wouldn't give space for corruption and like these kinds of huge accumulation of capital.
beautifully said.
So, and
Very well said.
now we have like 3 minutes to clarify what are the democratic principles.
Well, once upon a time, Finnish industry used to care for its workers. Back in the 30s and 40s, when they were all scared that the workers would revolt and join the communists, there were communities in this country, towns that were built around mills, and the firms, they looked after their people. There were healthcare, there was cheap housing, and this was done by benevolent capitalist people. And I say, yes, 10 points to them. We need a little bit more of that same kind of feeling today, but no, the individual rules today and the community is forgotten.
So you talking about industrialization was good, but now it's no longer there. So we are living
because of globalization and thanks to neoliberalism.
But we need to look at the problem now, not in the past, because the past
I know.
is already gone.
I'm just giving
The
you an
past is
example.
already
of the past.
gone, and I
You're
think
quite right. You're quite
the
right.
past
yes,
is already
yes.
gone, and we are living in the world of financial service sectors. We live in the world
God
of
help us
service, an economy that is driven by service, no longer industry. So
all in
solution
China, isn't
has
it?
to be found
It's all in
on that
China.
basis. So
But
we cannot
it
go
seems
back.
that is just functioning in the way of technology to grow, but not society and culture.
Exactly, but you talked about Finland reducing the corporation tax, and then unemployment kept on going up. But there is a fact of technology, because these companies, they want to make profit. So how we need to be a little bit understanding. Not that I'm speaking on behalf of those corporations, but we need to find solution. We need to think hard to see how
Where
not
the
only
problems are.
where is the problem are, because
Point taken.
in laws,
in laws and
different
everything, yes,
things.
but
Yeah,
we can't
point
actually
taken.
blame only to corporations and so on and so on.
So, theory
Yeah.
will get the last.
I think
word for this day.
the idea, like this idea from an education institution, it's really a good starting point. But I think when you're talking about democracy, there's another big problem that maybe we didn't even tackle. If a community or the public doesn't want to react about any problem, what would you do? Because that's what we are facing today.
Yes.
People are just do not want to react.
Yeah.
They don't
Because
want.
you're afraid. Because you're afraid.
That's right.
Why are they afraid?
In
Because
some
of
countries
kind of
more than
information they
others.
have. I think they lack information.
No, they don't lack information because there are too much information. Too much information. They are afraid which one to pick for the future, their future.
Right. So, folks, you have been listening to Conversation Oasis, coming to you here from restaurant, the Kasviskeidas restaurant here in the city center of Turku. In the studio with me today, I've had Sana Maria, Venera, Varun, Thierry, Ami, David,
Different hat next week.
yeah, and Jalal. So you will hear more from us next week. Bye.
Right?